Have you ever put out a request for a beautiful new wall mural, only to get back this total mess of confusing bids? Well, today we're going to fix that. We are breaking down exactly how to write a request for proposal, that's an RFP, that gets you what you want without that all too familiar procurement headache. You know the feeling. You put out that RFP for a stunning new wall graphic. The bids start rolling in and they are all over the place. I mean, different technologies, wildly different prices, completely different capabilities. So how in the world are you supposed to make a fair, defensible decision when you're not even sure everyone is bidding on the same thing? It is a classic procurement nightmare. And this slide, it just nails the problem, doesn't it? A vague RFP gets you apples, this random mix of bids for vinyl films, sticker systems, and a whole lot of execution risk. But a clear, performance-based RFP? That gets you oranges, truly competitive bids for the high-resolution, direct-to-wall printing you actually wanted. And the result? A decision you can absolutely stand behind. Now here is the crucial point. It's so easy to blame the vendors for confusing bids, right? But the real issue, well, it often starts with us, with the request itself. The good news is, that's the one part of this whole process we can completely control. A better RFP absolutely guarantees a better outcome. Okay, so let's tackle that first challenge head-on. How do we transform our RFPs from these vague, risky documents into valuable, precise requests that actually work for us? First things first, let's just make sure we're all on the same page about the tech we're talking about. Direct-to-wall printing is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. We're talking about specialized printers that apply durable, high-rise ink directly onto a wall, whether that's drywall, brick, or even concrete. No vinyl, no wallpaper, no sticky films. It's a fundamentally different approach, and that's really key here. And that brings us to our first core principle for writing a winning RFP. You've got to define the job by the performance you need, not the specific process some vendor might use. Okay, now look closely at the language on this slide. This isn't just some description. It is a very carefully crafted, neutral specification. By stating what the process is, on-site, direct-to-wall printing, and just as importantly, what it isn't, vinyl films or wallpaper, you create a perfectly level playing field for all the qualified bidders. So why is that specific language so critical, especially if you're in public or institutional procurement? Well, first off, it helps you avoid sole sourcing. That's when your RFP is written so specifically to one product that you accidentally lock yourself into a single vendor, which just kills any real competition. This language keeps things open and fair. And maybe most importantly, it keeps the focus on the outcome you want, not on some proprietary process. Okay, so you've defined the scope. What's next? Defining quality. And this is where so many RFPs just fall apart, right? They get way too vague or way too technical. So we're going to simplify it by building our requirements on 3 really clear pillars of performance. These pillars are simple, but man, are they powerful. Pillar 1 is resolution. The graphic has to look sharp up close, not just from 20 feet away. Pillar 2 is substrate flexibility. Can the technology print on your actual walls, the brick, the concrete, the imperfect drywall, not just some pristine test panel? And pillar 3 is durability. Will it actually withstand the bumps, scrapes, and cleanings of a real high-traffic environment? So how do you translate that into actual RFP language? Well, here's a perfect example for that first pillar, resolution. Notice it doesn't specify a DPI number, which can be easily manipulated and, frankly, pretty misleading. Instead, it describes the result you expect: photographic detail, smooth gradients, and sharp text. That simple phrase automatically screens out low-quality systems that just can't deliver that premium finish. All right, let's get practical. For any facility manager out there, a project isn't just about the final product. It's about the installation itself. How much of a headache is this going to be? Minimizing disruption in an active building. That's everything. This checklist right here, this is your tool for managing those on-the-ground realities. Don't just hope for the best. Make vendors commit in writing. Ask for their estimated installation time per square foot. Demand a disruption plan. And critically, get specifics on cure times and off-gassing, the things that tell you when you can actually use the space again. You want to get these answers before you award the contract, not after. A great project isn't just about day one. It's about the entire life cycle of that space. Smart procurement always thinks 5, 10 years down the road, and your RFP has to reflect that foresight. And this is the million-dollar question. It's the one that can save you an absolute fortune later. So 5 or 10 years from now, when it's time to renovate again, what's it going to take to update this wall? Are you looking at a simple paint job, or are you facing a costly, disruptive demolition project just to scrape off some old product? And here is your answer. Think of this clause as your insurance policy for the future. By requiring that the graphic can be modified, painted over, or removed without damaging the wall, you're ensuring that your next renovation will be fast and affordable. You're not just buying a graphic, you're preserving the long-term value of your entire building. Now, a well-written RFP is only half the battle. You also have to vet your vendors properly. And listen, don't just ask if they have experience, make them prove it. Requiring a minimum of 3 relevant project references is non-negotiable. It forces them to show you they've successfully done work of a similar scale and complexity. No excuses. And finally, let's talk money. To make your decision truly defensible, you have to get rid of any and all ambiguity in the pricing. Don't accept a vague lump sum. Your RFP must require every single vendor to break down their costs on a per square foot basis. It is the only way to do a true apples to apples, or in our case, oranges to oranges, cost comparison. So what's the big payoff for putting in this extra thought up front? It's huge. You get clear bids you can actually compare. You encourage fair, competitive pricing. You minimize those costly change orders that always seem to pop up. And most importantly, you protect your institution from an underperforming solution. What you get is a truly defensible decision. So I'll leave you with this one question to frame your next project. When you sit down to write that RFP, are you just buying a product? Or are you guaranteeing a performance? Because the difference between those two approaches, well, that's going to change everything.